So now you guys know how to solve for the slope when given 2 points. The second scenario is when you guys are given a table instead. So for the first example, let's say you had a table, an x and y column, and let's say the first numbers you have for your x column is 1, 3, and 4. And then for your y column, let's say you have 200, 600, and 800. So when you're solving for the slope given a table, it can actually be really similar to how you solve for the slope when given 2 points. You can start off by labeling your x and your y's again, your x1, y1, x2, y2. So for example, you can go ahead and label this over here, the 1 as x1, the 200 as y1. Oops, that looks like an x. y1. And then you can label the 3 as x2, and then the 600 as y2. And if you wanted, you could even label 3 and 600 as x1, y1, and then 4 and 800 as x2, y2, as long as you are consistent with that. But I usually just like to do the first 2 rows. So once you have those labeled, you can go ahead and again, just use the formula again. So I'm gonna make a line to separate these. So I can go ahead and use my formula again. I'm solving for slope. My y2 is going to be 600, and then minus my y1 is 200, right? Because the top of the formula, we're looking at our y's. So that's going to give me 600 minus 200 all over my x2 minus my x1. So that's going to give me 3 minus 1. Okay, and then we can just simplify from there. So 600 minus 200, that gives me 400, all over 3 minus 1, which is 2. 400 divided by 2 is 200. My slope is 200. Okay, let's try another one. Let's say for my second example, in my x column, I am given 0, 10, and 25. And then for my y column, I'm given -3, -9, and 12. Again, you can just use the same formula, solving for slope, and I still like to label my points because I tend not to mess up when I organize it that way. So the first one, 0, that's going to be my x1. -3 is going to be my y1. Okay, to the next row, 10 is going to be my x2, -9 is going to be my y2. Once I have that labeled, let's plug it into our formula. Okay, on top, again, I know that I need to have my y2 minus my y1. So let's fill that out. My y2, -9, minus my y1, which is -3. On the bottom, I have my x2 minus my x1. So x2 is 10 minus my x1, which is 0. Time to simplify. Okay, I have -9. A negative times a negative, that gives me a positive. Okay, all over 10 minus 0, which is 10. Simplify the top. -9 plus 3, that should give me -6 all over 10. Okay, I do notice that I can simplify this one more step. I notice that both the top and bottom are even numbers, So I can go ahead and divide both the top and bottom by 2 to simplify even more. So negative 6 divided by 2, that gives me negative 3. And then 10 divided by 2, that gives me 5. So my final answer, my slope is negative 3 over 5.